Now the baluster family template will provide us with the correct categories and whatnot that we need. You could probably use it, make this using generic model, but we're just going to keep consistent with the tutorial for now. So we're going to do File, New, little flyout here, Family, and we're just going to pick baluster. We don't need baluster panel and we don't need baluster post. Just be sure you click baluster there. And this is going to bring us to the default editing view for balusters. Now this one is going to be the one that kind of holds everything together. So we have two different sides to this, all right? And I'll bring this up again to kind of show you what our goal is. And let's see, which one is it? Here we go, this guy right here. So you'll see that there's a couple of different elements. I'm going to do it a little bit differently than I did when I was doing this, which is fine. So what I want to do is make sure that when we go to, let's see, there we go. All right, so I'm going to do some extrusions. I'm going to do 1, 2, and then we'll do 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cylinders. So we'll do those guys right there. All right, and then we'll do our tension rod sweeps back to those. So here's how we're going to do this. Now, we talked earlier about how we need to know the width of the stairs, and this is where that comes in. So I'm going to put a couple of reference planes in here. I could have mirrored that, but, you know, hindsight's 20/20. I'm going to go ahead and throw some dimensions on these, and once again, I'm going to get this up to our guardrail height so that we know what our target is for this. All right, and we're going to make this half of our tread width, which is 1,000 millimeters. So I'm going to make this 500 millimeters, and I'm going to make this one 500 millimeters. All right, and that's from our center point here. But we're going to be kind of modeling everything around this point, this center origin here. So what I want to do is I just want to verify. I can't recall off the top of my head whether or not this was, yes. So this is a center support for the tread, essentially. So we want to be sure that the bottom of our tread, which I'm going to assume is about 1/2 inch below, so it's 1/2 inch glass, we're going to be sure that our support is either in that or below that so that it looks like the tread is sitting on it. So let's go ahead and let's just say we're going to go bottom of tread here, 0.5. All right, and you can call this bottom of tread if you want. Right, you can call this left and right if you want to. Left, actually, you know what you should call it? Inside and outside. So we'll say inside of tread and outside of tread. That'll help us keep track of where things are. All right, so I'm going to start with just an extrusion, and we're going to say center, front, back. All right, and we're just going to make our extrusion right here. There's no real specification on the tutorial on what size to make this, so I'm just kind of guessing at this point. You can model it based on whatever specs you might have to be working from. I'm just going to make that 1/2 inch by, what do I make it, like 5 inches? Yeah, something like that. All right, so I've got this long piece right here, which we can't really tell what's going on because there's no reference for this yet. But if I look at my top-down view of this, you can see that the center of our tread is right here. We know that because we can hover over it and it says center, front, back. So we know our treads are about 11 inches wide, deep. So I'm going to go something like 5.5 inches there, and I'm going to mirror that across there. And that we know, now we know what the front and the back of our tread looks like. I don't think we need this to run the entire length. So we can do something like this. We're just kind of guessing at this point. All right, so we're going to go back to our front view, and we're going to model that V shape. And that one's a little bit trickier. We need to do a little bit of planning for this. So actually, let's step back. Let's go to our reference level view, our top-down view. and let's look at what our tread shape looks like. We know that on one of these sides, in particular the interior side, that the standoffs, that the tread supports are going to be right next to each other. All right, so which one did we make the inside? Is that that's the outside. All right, this is the inside. Okay, so what we should probably do is we're just going to create an extrusion here, and we're going to make this, this is the end of our tread, so we actually want to go inboard of that just a little bit. So let's make like a little, sure, let's do half-inch circles. All right, so I'm going to copy this a couple times. Copy. There we go. And they're just right next to each other, cozied up, having fun right next to each other there. And what we want to do with these is we want them to be sticking up above the tread just a little bit. And if we know that dimension, so we can look and see that our reference plane is our reference level here. So we could say extrusion start or extrusion end is like, I don't know, half an inch above. And that would be like the part that screws in on the top. All right. And we could say that our bottom is like -0.4 inches. Oops. -4 inches. There we go. And then we can actually apply that to all of them there. So we can say 0.2425, so a quarter inch. Nope, that should be half an inch. And then -4 inches there. Okay, so now I've got 3 of them sitting there like that, nice and happy. Happy little tread supports. So what I can do now, since these are individual, I can actually just copy these over to my other side, or mirror them even. I'm going to mirror them over there. All right, that way they're the same distance from the tread. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to spread these up just, so far. Again, if you have the specs on this, be sure you put those in the right place. If you don't have specs on them, be sure that you are making it make sense so that we know that this is the inside, this is the outside. All right, so they're all the same size. And now what I can do, since I have a reference for all of these, is we're going to come to the front, and we can use this reference to create our tension poles, which go back and forth across here. So I'm going to create an extrusion. Again, center, front, back. We're going to hit OK. And what I'm going to do is, just from a point here, I'm going to do something that looks like it makes sense, right? And I'm going to do one side, and I'm going to mirror it over. So what I'm going to do here is, essentially, I'm going to create something that looks like it makes sense. Again, let's do 1 inch on this. That way we got a nice thick tension rod that can connect into this. And then I'm going to bring this down in the middle. Then I'm going to get rid of that. I'm going to hit the rotate button. And I'm just going to rotate this until it's parallel, just like that. All right? So that's one side right there. Now what I could do is I'm going to create a line out of, it's just somewhere in here. All right? And I'm actually going to extend these out using the trim tool. And then I'm going to copy this. This is a little bit different from the tutorial. That's fine. I just want another attachment point over on this side for these tread supports. So I'm going to split this using my keyboard shortcuts, and then I'm going to trim them again. And you can see here that I've got now, all right, a nice little component here. Now I don't need it extending out past here, and I can see now that this is going to cause trouble, but we'll get it figured out. Let's go back to our top-down view, and we're just going to make this so that it comes to, we'll just make this the default, right? That width right there. Okay. All right. Now I'm going to split these out into separate extrusions here, and you'll see why in a second. because if I were to do this same thing over here, it wouldn't be matching up with our tread supports. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to edit this extrusion. All right, and actually what I'm going to do is copy it. So I'm going to copy, click, and move it 0. And we're going to edit this. We're going to delete this side of the profile, and then we're going to edit the other one. And we're going to delete this side of the profile. Okay, so now we have 2 separate extrusions. All right, I'm going to join this to all these. You don't need to do that, but that's fine. You can if you want. And now what I'm going to do is edit this one. So I'm going to edit, and I'm going to go back to my front view so that I've got a point of symmetry. We're going to take these lines and mirror them. Now, you can make this solid if you want. I'm more of a fan of creating lines like this. You do you, all right? If you want to make one solid piece and join them, that's fine. But this is how I'm going to roll. All right, I'm going to take this one and I'm going to mirror it across. That way we know that it's at the right angle. And then let's go take a look what we've got going on here from the top-down view. So I've got this guy right here. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring it about like this. I think these are going to end up being more trouble than it's worth. But I don't know, maybe it'll end up being something cool. And then I'm going to take this and I'm going to set the rotation. By the way, if you're in rotate and you hit the space bar, it automatically goes into place center point. So I'm going to place that center right there. And oh, you know what I didn't do? This needs to be, I'm going to make a line. This needs to be centered about this. So I'm going to move this so that it is centered. Yikes. Move. Oh, it doesn't like me doing that. Okay, you know what? I'm abandoning that. So I'm just going to delete those over there. All right, so now we've got this guy right here and this guy right here. So what we're going to do now is we're going to create a sweep that goes basically from here to here and here to here. So let's take a look at how we're going to do that. So from the front view, so what we're going to do is we're going to create a sweep, and I think we're going to do this from the reference level view. Let's do create sweep. All right, we don't have to pick a work plane because we're in a reference level view. We're just going to do sketch path, and I'm just going to do it from the midpoint of this to the midpoint of our support. And we're basically going to be using this as kind of an anchor point for everything, the center here. And it helps to do it from the center, and you'll see why in a second, because I have to disassociate it from this plane and all that fun stuff. So I finished the path there, and then what I'm actually going to do is select profile. I'm going to edit profile from a 3D view, because we don't really have a good view to do that, this profile head on. So we're just going to create, I think we're going to create, man, I kind of feel like it should be nice and skinny. So maybe a nice, like a 1/4 inch or a 1/2 inch, and a 1/4 inch. Yeah. And you'll notice this looks completely wrong, and that's okay because we're going to move it around here in just a little bit. So let's move this down, and when I move, all right, I'm going to hit the disjoin. I'm going to check that right there, and we're just going to move this down. I'm going to say about 1 inch. Okay, so whatever feels good to you, all right? And hopefully we're going to do it so that it doesn't disappear from us. So let's try 1 inch. And now what I'm going to do is rotate it. And I'm going to hit the space bar, and I'm going to set my rotation point. See if it'll let me. It's not going to let me get the center point of that, but that's okay. I can actually just click one of these endpoints here, and then I'm going to come here, and I'm going to try to make it parallel. And I think just doing this right here will make it close enough. Is that pretty close? It's close enough for us. Make it good. All right. You want to make it so that it's it looks good. All right. So I'm going to go ahead, and now that I've got this on this side, I'm going to go to front. I'm going to go to reference level, and I'm going to mirror that across there. So now I've got both of those. All right. So now I can join, and I can use multiple join to do that. and then I don't need multiple join anymore. So just click those two. Oh, we've already got that joined, so now we're good. All right. So now we need to do them over on the other side. So same thing, reference level view, and I can actually just take this right here and mirror this. And what I'm going to do now is rotate from here. Boy, that didn't work out the way I was expecting it to. Let's take this and we'll rotate from here instead, and we'll come to up here. I think it's going to make us guess. I'm okay with that. There we go. It looks like we need to edit this to get this down just a little bit. All right, just use my keyboard shortcuts. FF for finish. That looks pretty good. So I'm going to go to my reference level, and we're going to mirror this. All right, and we can see we've got a problem right here where they intersect. So what we can actually do is update that by just kind of separating those a little bit. It's okay if we do that. That's fine. So I'm going to mirror that one again. All right, let's come look at this. Do a little bit of joinery. Okay. And now we've got this right here. So that looks pretty cool and all. We need to bring our post in. Hey everyone, thanks for checking out this video. If you're ready to move on, be sure you check out part 3 in this Stairway to Heaven series, where we'll work on finishing up the baluster post and bringing that into our stair and starting to put everything together.